This island was the research facility for the original Jurassic Park.
Any dinosaur is too dangerous. We're left here.
Open the door!
I'm sorry.
Jurassic World, rated PG-13.
Nice.
So let's talk about the kind of special movie that we got to all see this week in what felt like a what do you call this? Like what's the word I'm thinking here? Not serendipitous, but like
Well,
maybe it all just came. What'd you say?
Impromptu? Is that maybe what
impromptu? I think is maybe what I'm thinking of. Yeah, like starts off with Ronald being like, "Hey, did you guys see that there are fan screenings of F1?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, hey, did you guys see?" I've been hearing that the Secret Cinema movie the same night across all the chains is actually Jurassic World Rebirth, which is like 10 days early or 9 days early. So then it was like, "Oh, should we all go see this and take a chance?" And there's no way to confirm it really outside of Reddit, which is what I was reading.
The runtime was 2 hours and 14 minutes.
Yes.
And I looked and there was nothing out. There were other movies that were close, but nothing was exact except for Jurassic Park.
It's weird though, because the different chains like list different runtimes, but they was reading that like some of those runtimes are with credits and some are without credits.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. But anyway, yes, it seemed very likely. And then, the filmmakers, the official Twitter account, they kind of posted a video that definitely seemed like they were kind of showing their card or showing their hand that it was going to happen. So we all got tickets. We all went our separate ways and saw.
We triangulated.
Yeah, it's like we covered the Baltimore, Maryland metro area in some way, shape, or form and saw. So I went to Regal. Where'd you guys go? AMC?
AMC, yeah.
I was at AMC White Marsh. And I got around their awful concession system by using the order in advance.
Oh.
Even though all I needed was an icy.
And you just roll up and grab it.
I had a cup waiting there for me on the little
Look at
shelf.
you.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was great.
You hacked
it,
John.
I smuggled in some peanut M&Ms. I'm not an amateur.
Oh, you
you
sneaky.
Maybe we should talk about this whole thing, man. So it seems to be more of a summertime thing than anything, but it picks up in the summertime, I'm noticing, especially for AMC. They have something called Screen Unseen, and it seems to be a couple in the summer that are for pretty big movies. And I had never done it before, and I remember you talking about it a couple times, Steve. And, I was super curious about
cheap
it.
Tickets.
Yeah, cheap, $5.
$5 ticket,
and there's a heads up. Here's a heads up. There's one on July 7th through AMC. So that one's an hour 33. Let's do some math, figure out what that is, and go see that one. But yeah, it's a cool opportunity to see a movie in advance. The energy is a little different than a press screening, I'd say.
Yeah.
There's a lot
for sure.
There's a lot more like, well, I did some calculations and, there's like
so I was going to say, what was it like in your room? Did you feel everybody going, oh, when the little announcement started? Because ours had a little clip in front of it of Jonathan Bailey. Is that his name?
Yeah. And Scarlett.
And Scarlett Johansson introducing the movie. And I felt like there was a kind of it was muted. I actually kind of wanted to go, yay!
We definitely did in our theater. We went to a Regal and the audience was very responsive. They were cheering.
In my theater, it was muted, but you sensed people go like, okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in. Let's go.
Right. It was like, okay, let's do this then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been so funny for it to be like, I don't know what it would have been to have been super disappointing, but if it had been like a revival screening of some random movie.
Here's the issue. The guy beside me was 0-15.
At what? Guessing? Oh my God.
He did it often. Like, this is a guy that had like an AMC membership. And, whenever those came up, they do it for free. You get it for free. He's 0-15. And I'm like, man, he's like, yeah, I always get it wrong. And I was like, I think this was Jurassic World. Like, I'm pretty sure. Like, I hope they were right for your sake. Because he got one in the win column because he never got it right and he loves them all, but yeah, man,
it's a cool pro. Yeah, most of the chains have it. Like Regal's Mystery Movie, AMC Screen Unseen, Harkins, which is out. Like some of my closest friends, they do it every single one of them at the Harkins, and I kind of helped them. What's that?
Does Cinemark do it?
I think Cinemark has a version of it, yeah. But like, I always try to help them guess the ones that they go to, and I gotta say, I am undefeated.
Good
for theirs. This is kind of what prompted this. Yeah, well, the last big one was Gladiator 2. That was like the big, like, they went full tilt, and I was like, guys, I think it actually is Gladiator. I didn't go to the one here because we went to the press screening, but yeah, I don't know. I've never really gone to them. A lot of times it is smaller movies. It's like, more maybe like Neon, Searchlight, A20. Like, it's that level a lot of times. But there are those moments where like a movie kind of has a week or a weekend to itself, and like you can tell the marketing is just full tilt, like Gladiator, 4-quadrant, Jurassic World, 4-quadrant. They just want anyone, especially when they think the movie's good.
Okay, I was going to ask you that. Is it perceived that this is like something you wouldn't do if you were not happy with the movie? If you were
100% no, yeah, because it breaks embargo. People can pay to go see it. People will go on and start reviewing it, like on IMDb or any of the online socials, which, they have to be comfortable with. If people don't like this movie, that's going to happen. It's going to backfire. Not that a movie like Jurassic World Rebirth is going to rely on reviews or what people are saying. I think these kind of movies, in some ways, are automatic in terms of box office. It's in that rarefied air of like they all basically deliver, even if the movies haven't been great. But yeah, it's a really cool thing. And I mean, yeah, they're usually anywhere between like $5 to $7. And, if you go out on a weeknight and just, you can tell, like in our theater, we're sitting next to a group of women of 3 or 4 women that like go to every single one together. And it's like an event for them. And they're like guessing what it is. And I'm telling them what I think it is. And they're like losing their minds if that's right. And I was like, just hang tight. We're about to find out. And they were like going nuts when they announced it. So it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I think that the people that go to those movies are excited to see a movie, especially a movie that no one's seen yet. So they're very like usually coming out buzzing a little bit. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, even before considering if, how the movie played to me, it was a cool vibe. It was one of those packed. It was packed. People were definitely responding to the movie in many ways. And yeah, man, it was a cool experience for sure. I would definitely consider doing it again. More recently, I almost went to the one. I kind of kicked myself in the butt for not going. It was a few sessions ago. They did Life of Chuck, and I kind of guessed it for my friends in Arizona. And I was like, I need to try to get to the one at AMC, but I just couldn't get there in time. And it was Life of Chuck, and I kind of regret that now that I haven't seen it yet. So they do get, like, that's the thing, like Neon, like that. They get a lot of those studios films.
But I mean, that's a movie I would still be interested to see, even like it's maybe not a big movie, but it's an interesting movie even though it may not have taken the box office by storm, but with a weird kind of buzz, a little mystery around it. So that would still be a satisfying movie to see. But definitely Jurassic World Rebirth is the kind of movie that you're going to be like entertained, even if you're just finding out that it sucks. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's like kind of what you said, even if it's not a great movie, a Jurassic World or Jurassic Park movie is going to have a certain level of entertainment value and a certain level of quality to the filmmaking. I guess we can talk about the movie a little bit here. What did you guys think of the movie? And I guess in terms of how it slots into the franchise too.
This one pisses all over the Chris Pratt ones to me. Just
tell me more. What do you mean?
I think I agree, but tell us.
More. Pisses all over them. What do you mean?
I just didn't. So I thought. Let me say. Sometimes you can watch a movie a couple times and it feels different every time you watch it. You know what I mean? Some movies I can watch, I'm like, I love this movie every time I watch it. I noticed that every time I watched any of the Chris Pratt Jurassic Park movies or Jurassic World or whatever the fuck they're called, I like them less and less and less, and I can't figure out if it's Chris Pratt. I'm gonna use a saying from the Chris Pratt of it all, or it was just like the feel of it, like the scope of it didn't feel Jurassic Parky, and I think that's what this one feels like it got back to. The stakes were about dinosaurs. It wasn't about fucking fly. flies,
locust, wasn't it?
Cloning, yeah, cloning.
Fucking yeah, it's like what?
And it's not trotting out a bunch of cameos.
Yeah,
either.
it isn't a fucking guy trying to do voodoo on a goddamn dinosaur, putting his hand in front of it, and the dinosaur is just okay. I mean, it's just like I kind of got sick of it, and trying to make this like Mission Impossible team of people that are going to help with the dinosaurs. I just didn't like it. I just didn't like that feel of it. But here's the thing. With this world that they've created with this new one, I wouldn't be pissed if Chris Pratt were to show up. If other characters from that portion of the movie,
it's like if they showed up in this tone,
yeah,
they would feel different. I agree with you. I agree with you. It would feel a little earthier. There's something about this movie. In some ways, this is a retreat, right? Because this movie even builds in a reason why. Oh, see, it turns out the dinosaurs can only live around these tropical islands. Like
that whole trilogy is explained away with like 2 title cards.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but I feel, of course, it's open for them to then cut to some Arctic dinosaur situation or whatever. Sure. But we're led to believe that they're all basically back in these weird, not weird, but just equatorial islands. Yeah. And so it's like but there's something about that's like, and it's David Koepp writing it, and he's got the guy that wrote the screenplay to the first one. I don't know. There's something about that feels like it's smart. It's like, let's get it back to what we were doing. It'd be like if someone made a Ghostbusters movie right now and they got it down to 3 characters that were all dealing with something. Like, it's like if you winnow something down or get it back to its basic form, there's a certain kind of intelligence to saying, we can sense this is what's working here. I'll say this, though. This movie was a strange one to me. David Koepp wrote the screenplay. I forgot when I was watching it that he wrote the screenplay. There were moments, and I don't, maybe you'll know exactly what I mean. I hope this isn't a strange statement. There were moments where the acting was better than the dialogue. And then there were moments where the dialogue was better than the acting. Like, there were moments where Scarlett Johansson felt a little wooden. And as much as I love him, there were moments where Mahershala Ali felt a little bit like he was on rails playing this character. And it was like, oh, but what's happening between the characters isn't that bad right now, but it just feels a little wooden. And then there were other times where I thought the actors were charming. But, like okay, a character has to convince a character to join a mission or something. I felt like this movie, it would happen in a very on-the-nose way that made me feel like there was about to be a curveball or a twist, but there wouldn't be one. It would just it was like getting the team together for new viewers. It was like, we're showing you this. But it's like sometimes that screenplay felt like, man, I just wish this was a little sharper and these character turns were a little more interesting and nuanced. And then other times I was thinking like, oh, that was not a bad line. That was just Scarlett Johansson kind of delivering a line like she's not really delivering it yet. Like she's like, okay, when are we going to film? We're going to film a take. We just got like the line reading, but we haven't had any acting yet. But it wasn't like she was bad. Other parts I thought she was, like in some ways, like you said, Ronald, I felt like this movie felt closer in my heart to that OG Jurassic Park thrills and chills. Yeah. And the story just had a simplicity to it, and their mission had a simplicity. Once you knew, okay, there's 3 dinosaurs.
That's the key right there.
Catch,
it's simple.
Boom, 1, boom, 2. Yeah.
It's simple, not only simple, but it's like it's trackable. The idea of not just having like 3, but it's land, air, and sea.
Look, man.
And it's a way to introduce. It's almost like they're fighting it's almost like they're hitting like levels of a game or boss levels of a game. Totally. And that's kind of and
the hardest level is the last one.
Right, exactly. And it's just like, I think that was probably the biggest asset of the movie. And I definitely agree with what you're getting at, John. Like I personally feel like it's more a screenplay issue, and it's kind of, I feel like that stuff is what didn't work for me like more consistently through the movie versus maybe the performances. I think that was more
you think the material, they were doing the best they could with
I thought so.
Like I said, I felt that in some scenes, but then there were other scenes where I really did think, wow, Scarlett Johansson sometimes just talks like nobody talks.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I felt like that way of kind of framing the movie, and even explaining away the stuff in the beginning, I feel like it's an odd thing, but this is supposed to be like a standalone sequel to that series that is in that world.
Yeah.
And is dealing with what happened in that world, but it's years later and it's a different set of characters, which I dug. I did kind of feel like there were definitely a lot of scenes where I was like, what is this scene doing in this movie? Like, and it was so long, like her and Mahershala talking inside of the boat.
Yeah.
About like the dead friend, the divorce, losing a child. Like it just got so bleak, and it stayed in that scene for like 7 minutes. And meanwhile, out on the boat, they're fucking hunting dinosaurs. Yes. You know, I'm like, oh, this is a Jurassic World movie, right? And it's like, and those stakes that, like, you know, those pieces of story that you're getting from that dialogue, it's like, yes, they call that later in the movie in their respective scenes, but it's like it could have never happened, and it wouldn't have been a different movie at all.
Yeah,
you know.
Like the 90 to 100 minute version of this movie would have been amazing in my mind.
Yeah,
totally agree.
They did think you kind of nailed it. They spent a little, but again, I think there was something about that opening stretch where they're setting up the characters. As much as I felt like this is kind of written for like 8-year-olds to understand it, you know, like the whole thing where they meet the scientist at the museum and they're like, you're joining the mission. You're coming with it. He's like, what? You know, he's like a silly, geeky scientist with glasses. You know, I mean, there's so many things that felt like it was really very simplistic, but there was still a Spielberg-y kind of warmth to the way those scenes were shot. And even the score, which was a little too turned up, felt like it was really trying to give us that sweeping John Williams kind of feeling. So I really did appreciate that tonal thing, which I think, Ron, when you talk about this movie taking a piss on the last trilogy felt like it belonged to the Disney era of franchise expansion, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it feels like it belongs to that. This feels like, if this is a standalone, Steve, this feels like almost more like Alien Romulus or something, where it's like this maybe does throw back and maybe does remind you of a lot of things, but it has its own little spot it's trying to sit in, and also its own little way forward with, and I know people, this will sound like a strange thing to say because Alien Romulus, people, if there was a complaint, people said it just repeated too many things, but it still felt like there was something about it that was of the moment and kind of fresh to me. And I think this movie feels a little bit more energetic and less like it's trying to be a franchise expansion. This feels a lot more like, oh, we want to get you in like a bunch of just those scenes, like the scene on the boat scene where the dinosaurs are attacking them. It was huge. And I mean, we're talking about Gareth Edwards, who does scale and atmosphere and, you know, all that, the stuff with the flares and stuff. That's just so him. And that stuff was working great. Visually, this movie was really taking me someplace that was exciting. And then I think that, it had a little too much of the character stuff, which is a weird complaint. Because normally I'd say, bring me that. But I think when it's a little bit clunky or a little bit simplistic, it's like the pieces were being moved into the right places on the board, but I didn't need all that. I didn't need all that explanation for it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
The only way I can describe what you guys are saying is like it's almost like they were trying to imitate a Spielbergian sort of feel to it, but didn't
like too much
tighten it up. Like what makes those things good is like efficiency. The connections between the characters, the callbacks are really quick. There's not like people aren't sitting in shit for 7 minutes and they're like, yeah, when my wife died, I fucking felt awful.
Also, then the music goes, doo, 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 you know what I mean? It becomes corny for a minute.
Yeah, what are we
doing
definitely
here? Definitely got a little hokey.
But what I will say is the death level in this movie, insane. Like this didn't feel like a kids movie in that way.
Up until a point. I think there was a point where we had too many. There's one group of characters that travels together that I was like increasingly aware no one's going to die in this group of characters. And then I felt like towards the end, they did at least tease us. There was one death that we don't get, but that we thought we might get. And it worked. It worked because I didn't want the character to die. But in a way, I think those stakes, and I don't know, I feel like the movie, what you're saying is true for the first half. And then once they're down to like the core characters, you don't really get a lot of carnage.
I'm okay with that.
You know, there's that one guy left who speaks French that's not like one of the main people.
Yeah.
Well, it's the whole crew that like come in last.
But I'm saying that one guy who was like left at the end. Like he was the last one left who wasn't.
He was left because he was down in the engine bay of the boat when shit was going
But I mean, like later in the movie, like before he goes, it was like he was the last one who made it to that point in the movie, and I was like, oh man, you're gonna be the last. And the other thing that's consistent in these movies is the people that get killed, the dinosaur kind of chomps on them, and you kind of spits them back up and swallows them back down. Like every death is a little bit like, man, that would be painful because that would go on a little too long. For me.
Yeah, this is an interesting. Like, I feel like coming out of it, like I really enjoyed watching the movie. Like you said, John, they're all at least entertaining because at the base, it's like there's fucking dinosaurs, and they're like there's something cool happening with dinosaurs.
And the effects are incredible.
That's still so cool to watch on a big screen, and the sound, like that is such a great experience, even if the movies and succeed to different degrees. Like I feel like the original Jurassic World trilogy kind of had diminishing returns in succession for me, but had high points in each respective film, you know. And just the same about this. Like I feel like this is probably I probably enjoyed this more than I think maybe all those movies. Maybe not. Maybe I don't know. Entertaining wise, the first one I thought was pretty good, but in each of them there are those standout scenes. You know, like and this one has a couple of those standout scenes. Like and again to give some kudos, like talking performance, and I think you may have mentioned them briefly, but I thought the standout for me was Jonathan Bailey. I thought he was great in the movie. I thought his character really was the one that by purpose reminded you while you're watching this why this is amazing. You know, like his function in this crew as a scientist, as a paleontologist, is clear. But like the scene when they are in that field with the Titanosaurus is like, and he like walks up and touches them and he's crying and they're watching it all. Like that is magic. Like that is movie magic. Like that's a sit forward.
Well, that is also a huge part of the Jurassic Park magic in the first movie.
That's exactly right. And it's like
that,
it's the closest.
And he's even we find out he's even kind of an acolyte or a protege of Alan Grant, which is like the one little that's the one connective piece we get, really, right? I mean,
I think so.
Yeah.
But I'm saying though, like that is the thing, like that does touch on that first movie, and you know, probably is closer than any of the other ones have, and I'm sure intentionally, but it was very moving and it was very magical, and it's very much like, God damn, that's why that's so cool. Like this is like his life's work, and he's there touching it and not being scared, not fearing for his life, but just being able to take in the moment, and it completely overwhelms him. And that's what would happen, you know, naturally to someone in those shoes. And I thought that scene was just incredible. He also has a great scene. It's kind of not a throwaway, but it's a bit of a run he has where he's talking about what like being the smartest, not being like a competitive advantage in nature. That was awesome. I like that. That's the David Kep. Like that's the screenplay part. You're like, okay, that's good. That's a standout line.
It feels like a little bit of science and a little bit of counterintuitiveness to tell you, well, you know, actually, there's a point beyond which it really doesn't help you that much. I
love that scene. But yeah, I thought he was great in it. You know, it's funny you mentioned the character who we thought we lost and didn't lose at the end. I actually felt the opposite for that. I kind of thought that was kind of a bit of a cheap out, because it just didn't really make sense to me.
No, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I was sort of glad that of all the characters that could have died, that character did not end up going. But knowing that it might be intended to be a standalone really makes me wonder why they wouldn't just go ahead and kill that character.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if it makes $1 billion, it's not going to be a standalone. Like that's what it's labeled as, though. You know.
I guess I'll say I'm glad we might have that actor around for another movie of this if they do it. But I there's no. I mean, did I miss it? There's no plot explanation for how that character survives, right?
No. There's no explanation.
It's one of those. Oh, he's definitely gone. Oh,
they even go with the visual of like the flare out, and like
the light goes out,
and like just like logistically where they're going on a boat, and to see him come out of the side, of the like what
it didn't make any sense.
What? Like it's good for them, it's good for her, you know, whatever. It's fine.
It's good for that actor if there's a payday in this.
100%.
But
I'm sure that's what it is. Like we'll keep you around because if there's sequels, we want to have you involved.
But I think that was I think that the other group I was talking about, the group of 4, I think that was a little bit of a problem. Like because I didn't really want any of those characters to die.
Sure.
But the one who I thought we could have lost, and was the one who almost died and didn't. There's a whole story, and I think that would have been the most interesting one to have died. The one who's like on the boat. Like there's a moment where a character seems to be able to let a character die. I think if that death had happened, I think much of the rest of the movie could have worked in a different way. But I feel like that would have pushed it towards the sort of more dark feeling of anyone could die. Whereas I feel like once that character didn't die, I was like, oh, I can kind of tell this movie's playing it a little soft on the characters that we like. You know what I mean? And that's fine. But it does make, like I said, that last remaining guy who's not one of the main characters, you do go, oh, dude, you're the red shirt here. You know,
yeah. The other scene to mention, talking about that group that I thought was awesome was the raft sequence.
Yes.
That sequence, again, that gets back to like, and not to discredit the Jurassic World trilogy, because they did have moments of this, but like a reminder of like why the T-Rex is just like incredible, you know, and like scary and like not fucking around. You know what I mean? Like that scene was really great. And like just even how it's staged, you know, popping up behind the bush, disappearing behind the bush, like the boat flipping up. That is awesome. Like blocking, like I love that stuff.
Yeah, the geography of that scene was really good.
It was really great, and
it was a rare occasion where characters are like afraid to help somebody.
Yeah,
that makes sense,
and they can't do anything; they're just frozen.
Right,
yeah,
right. Yeah, I thought that was good,
and that's I guess what I'm saying. Like, you know, I definitely have criticisms of the movie, and like there's some silliness in there that just sort of like, oh god, like roll your eyes a little bit. But again, at the end of the day, I'm like, it's one of the better Jurassic entries in the last, you know, attempts to keep the franchise going. But again, it's not really like I don't really have a low bar on these. Like, these are all entertaining movies to me at the least, because I just love dinosaurs, and you know, and it looks cool. And yeah, Gareth did a great job, I think, in shooting it on film and making it look cool. So yeah, I mean, this was a lot of fun to watch. I would definitely watch more if and when they make more of these. I'm sure they will. But I thought it was kind of a cool pivot for sure.
Do you think by the time the next movie rolls around, there'll be lots of merch for Dolores?
Let's only hope.
I hope so, man.
Is this the first? I guess we had the pet velociraptors.
I was gonna say, Ronald mentioned the comment about like the whole hand on the head thing. Like, I think that one of the best things of the Jurassic World trilogy is Blue. Yeah. Like, I genuinely love Blue. My kids have Blue plushies in their bedrooms right now. And when we go to Universal every year, we make sure to do the encounter and meet Blue. And, you know, that's a win. So, but yes, Dolores, I mean, if she has a place in this story now.
I mean, I'm for it. They played me like a fiddle with Dolores.
Yeah.
A cute little baby. Actually, I don't know. Is this a baby or is this just a small creature? But a little sweet dinosaur that's kind of like, when it meets the humans, it's kind of like, hey, folks, could you please help me out? I don't like it here. These other dinosaurs are scary as shit. But everything Dolores does is cute. It's very Grogu-esque, you know, where it's just like you can't help but think this little creature is cute. But it didn't bother me too much because it just felt like this is a flavor I don't mind. And it was done so well. Like you mentioned, Ronald, the scene where Dolores comes and lies down next to them.
Yeah. Got me, man.
Like, it's just so sweet, and it's like you want to see that. And they didn't overdo. I will say this: they didn't overdo the little kid being in danger because they did something stupid, and they didn't overdo like, oh, Dolores causes a problem because Dolores was actually pretty smooth. Dolores actually behaved. I know I've mentioned this Dungeons and Dragons game that I played with some friends, but in that game, I quickly befriended a cat at one point that then became like a cat that hung out with us on the journey, and the cat we always sort of agreed that when there was real danger, the cat would sort of flit away. And like if we did have the cat do something in the gameplay, it would have to be something simple that a cat might do. And we had to roll to see if the cat would actually do what you wanted it to do and all this stuff. But like Dolores reminded me of that cat, Brando, the cat from the Dungeons and Dragons game, because whenever there was trouble, Brando would just kind of run off like the way a cat might when company comes over. Like a cat disappears, you don't know where they are. And then later the cat just comes out from somewhere. And I felt like Dolores did a good job of doing that. Dolores stayed out of trouble and ran off to the bushes. You know.
So it looks like those dinosaurs were no more than 2 feet long. So I think maybe she was a full-grown dino.
Full-grown, perhaps a little bit run.
3.5 pounds.
Maybe she's a little bit of a small fry for her.
Tiny. They were the size of a large bunny rabbit. It says.
Oh wow.
That is adorable. So we're
that's freaking adorable. Way to go, guys!
She knows the gender. Did we have a confirmation? She named it Dolores. I'm calling it Dolores, but you know who knows?
Yeah, no, I think that's appropriate. I think we can just go with that. There's merch out there already. I saw a Lego set for her.
Oh wow!
Yeah, okay. There's stuff all over the place.
They know what they're doing. But I was surprised how that worked on me. Normally, I might roll my eyes pretty hard at that, but I was just like, no.
It was great. Ronald said it in our thread. Like the moment she curls up next to them when they're sleeping, it's like, oh, you got me.
Yeah,
done. That just reminded me of my dog, who I don't have anymore. Would usually curl up right next to you, and like that, just there it is. I'm in.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I don't know, man. This was I got it. This is a go. See it from me for sure. I mean, especially if you're at any degree of the past Jurassic films, like. This is definitely feels more like, the first few entries in the whole series.
Yeah.
More so than the Jurassic World trilogy, in tone, in structure, in simplicity, and the action and the dinosaur. Again, the idea of having like a checklist of 3 kinds of large species dinosaurs. It's like, what a genius idea. Yeah. Put them in front of the 3 largest species on land, air, and sea, and have them get blood from them or embryonic fluid, whatever.
Yeah,
right.
Very cool idea. Great way to break a story. So, and it works for the most part. So, I loved
the scene with the pterosaurs or whatever the flying dinosaurs were. That they had made a nest in like an ancient temple.
Yeah,
in the cliff face. That was just a cool.
That was
setup.
Awesome.
That was just really cool. Like adventure feel. That this movie managed to have throughout. Really old school adventure, like pulp adventure kind of.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I mean, when I think about it, I really think of a movie that I really want to see again. But when I picture the kind of, the down parts that we're talking about, I'm like, I really don't want to watch that stuff again. Like I don't know if I'd run out to the theater to see this a second time. Right. But I know as soon as I can watch this at home, I'm looking forward to like watching it again, just so I can see. You were kind of getting at this, Steve. It's just those set pieces are just cool looking. It's like they're well done. And again, Gareth Edwards has always managed the scale and the scope in his scenes, So he knows how to put together that sense of like, oh shit, there's something huge. Like those mosasaurs, I think is what they're called, in the water. When they would emerge, it was just that always sends a chill down my spine. Like the idea of being out in the water and there's such a huge thing going around the boat. Really, really primally, fearful stuff that I think has always been good in these movies. So,
what did you guys think of before we wrap up? What did you guys think of the D-Rex?
That ugly big thing?
Yeah.
It was so ugly, man.
I thought it was creepy. I thought it was cool. I mean, I like when these movies go a little hard into the sci-fi elements. So
like a predator.
I thought that was kind of neat. Yeah, it had like do you remember the creature in the movie The Ritual? You only really see it by night, but it had like extra appendages that are in weird places like that too. So no, it definitely gave it a kind of almost Lovecraftian kind of quality. But it was just so huge, and we only see it by like night, like the salt lights or the
it's such a weird it's a weird dinosaur
flare light. It's just you barely get a look at it. I think that's cool. That was scary.
I really do like that this is like the island of weird dinosaurs. It was purposefully supposed to be a place. Misfit. Yeah. It's strange. Literally. Like and I did like that because of its shape, it moved very strangely. Like the head was so big that it couldn't really do as much as maybe a T-Rex could do. Like
that's why he was so mad.
It's like, fuck this.
There was another thing I wanted to mention to you guys, though. Did you notice that opening scene was like they had a little bit of Final Destination in your Jurassic Park movie with the Snickers wrapper?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that was
sucking in and blowing out the door closing.
That is, I gotta say, that is a fragile mechanism for
it was
that vent that can pull in a wrapper and then completely cause the containment door to not close. But like I did think, I wonder if we were going to see a lot of that. And I did think if you were going to do a really stripped down horror centric Jurassic Park movie, merging it with the Final Destination kind of technical failure of the facility would be a really smart way to do it, because you could just have another set piece where a person does something and you see the little screw that doesn't get tightened on the whatever, and you gradually I mean, I don't know, that moment made me wonder, is this movie going to play with that energy throughout? But I surely they were thinking of that series when, I don't think you could shoot a scene like that and not be thinking this is almost like a little nod to Final Destination, that a guy like just in the middle of this science facility is just being a slob.
Wait, and he like drops it as he's turning the key.
But also he gets
terrible coworker. What?
Litterers will not prosper.
She should have just fucking let him in. It was like she really didn't even think twice about it. She looked, she saw a little bit of cloud, and she's like, no, I'm gonna watch you die and have this formative memory stick in my brain. And so she could fucking tell that story. Oh, I tried to help him, and you wouldn't believe it. It just scooped him up before I could help him. You're a fucking liar. You're a fucking liar.
Oh shit! They need you in the next movie, Ronald.
Truther Ron James on the scene.
You go and you find her, and he's like, "You should feel bad.
You lied."
I did think maybe we would see her again, but we didn't. I guess maybe we were supposed to think everybody got killed eventually. You know?
Yeah.
Because it didn't seem like whatever.
You think everybody got killed?
Yeah. Well, it did seem like that facility was kind of abandoned in the last minute, but maybe not killed. Maybe they just pulled out.
I love
they left that thing in the tank that was all
yes,
the thing that twitched once, but then it was dead and rotting later.
I was gonna say it was his reaction to that dinosaur was so genuinely good. It's just like, oh no,
yeah,
a freak of a dinosaur. It was just very I thought that was really cool, man. I like the movie.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's a fun Jurassic Park big summer movie for sure.
Right. It's not a huge surprise to say a little bloated.
Exactly. Yeah. Not without its flaws, but a lot of fun.
But yeah, a less bloated version of this movie. It's like it would be even more exciting to recommend. Do you know what I mean? Like this is a movie that's going to be. If the trailers have hooked you in any way, if this series has hooked you in any way, I feel like people are going to be interested to see this one. So.
Good deal. Again, though, that doesn't come out till next week, so we got a little jump on that one. So
jump on that.
To wait for the holiday weekend for that one. I think it comes out Wednesday the 2nd.
Pretty damn cool.
Yeah, very.
We get to put the logo right on that fucking Movie Schmovie or banner.
Did you guys watch anything else that you want to mention before?